There's two dimensions to that question. Let me respond this way. First and foremost, again, I give credit to the administration for what they did in the most recent requirements on the renewable fuel standard. They clearly recognize the blend wall challenge. They clearly recognize the adverse impact on consumers. And so they have set out there a mark to suggest we've got to deal with this issue. Now, I'm hopeful in the Congress we can convince members of both parties, which we have to date, there's strong bipartisan support, that there needs to be a permanent fix. What the administration has done is short-term. It's important, and we acknowledge that, but it's short-term. We shouldn't have a policy where the EPA every year has to review the policy and set the standard for the ethanol blend. We need to go back and revisit the fundamentals of the policy in the first place. It was driven by the need to reduce, or the suggestion that it was going to reduce carbon emissions. Back to Matt's question. What we've found today through the EPA and the National Academy of Science, corn ethanol is actually increasing carbon emissions. So that premise that the law was built on doesn't hold. The same thing for oil imports. We've dropped from about 60% of oil imports to today we're at about 34% relying on oil imports. That bit wasn't brought about by the renewable fuel standard. It was brought about by domestic production, over 2 million barrels a day today, more than just a couple of years ago. So the likelihood of passage, it's unclear at this point. The Congress is coming back, setting their agenda. We're going to continue to push because of the adverse impact on consumers. This hurts individuals. It hurts small businesses. They are more and more rising up saying enough is enough. It's cost us enough. Let's move on. Now, one other side note, personal observation. When you hear those that want to defend the renewable fuel standard, they are defending rural economic opportunity. We don't begrudge that, but let's be realistic and let's have a reality conversation. If what we're talking about is rural development, rural support for small communities, let's develop a policy that does that. You don't try to do it through the back door through a fuels policy that hurts consumers at the same time you're trying to expand a rural economy. I grew up in a very small town. My father was a John Deere dealer. I understand those small communities. I don't want to do anything to harm them. But trying to benefit rural economies across the country, primarily the agriculture economy, through a fuels policy distorts the market. It's unhelpful. It's hurting consumers. We need to repeal it and move beyond it.